When my mother-in-law, Margaret, passed away, the family gathered at the lawyer's office for the reading of her will. I was nervous but hopeful. She had always treated me kindly, unlike many mothers-in-law. I walked into the wood-paneled room, only to freeze. Sitting beside my husband, James, was a woman I didn't recognize at first. She was dressed elegantly, her hand resting a little too comfortably on his arm. Then James introduced her with a smirk. "This is Sophie, my friend." But the way she looked at me told me the truth. She wasn't just a friend. My stomach dropped. At my mother-in-law's will reading, my husband had the audacity to bring his mistress. The lawyer, Mr. Collins, cleared his throat and began reading. Margaret had been wealthy. She owned multiple properties and had substantial investments. I expected most of it to go to James, her only son. But then came the shock. "To my daughter-in-law, Anna," Mr. Collins read, "I leave the family home, the beach cottage, and half of my savings. She was like a true daughter to me." Gasps filled the room. James's face turned red, while Sophie's smirk vanished. "To my son, James," the lawyer continued, "I leave the remainder of my estate with one condition. He must remain married to Anna. Should he divorce her, his share will be forfeited." The silence that followed was deafening. James clenched his fists. Sophie whispered something harsh in his ear, and Mr. Collins calmly folded the papers. James exploded. "This isn't fair. I'm her son." His voice echoed, but Collins only replied, "Your mother's wishes are clear." I sat there, stunned but also fighting a smile. Margaret had known. Somehow, she had seen the truth about James and had protected me even after death. Sophie stood up abruptly. "You promised me everything would change after she was gone. You told me we'd have the money, the houses, everything." Everyone heard her. My heart raced, but I stayed silent. James looked around, realizing his mistress had just exposed them both. The lawyer turned to me. "Anna, the properties are legally yours now. We'll arrange the paperwork." James tried to protest, but Sophie stormed out, slamming the door. He ran after her, leaving me alone in the office. Mr. Collins leaned forward and said quietly, "Your mother-in-law trusted you more than her own son. She wanted you to have security, no matter what happened." Tears welled in my eyes. Margaret had been my shield even when I hadn't realized it. Days later, James came crawling back, begging me not to divorce him, terrified of losing his share. But the betrayal was already too deep. I filed for divorce anyway. And just like the will said, his share vanished. The entire estate became mine. Sophie left him, furious at the empty promises, and James was left with nothing but regret. As I walked through the family home Margaret had given me, I whispered, "Thank you." She had given me freedom and justice all in one final act. Her will didn't just divide property. It revealed truths and set me free from a marriage built on lies. And I promised myself I would honor her by living fully, no longer tied to betrayal.